Today we meet Matt Ackley, the CMO of Marin Software in Hamburg at the PPC Masters. Matt, you are the, like I said, the Chief Marketing Officer of Marin Software for not even a year now.
Just a year today. Exactly a year today.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
I made it. I made it. It's tough to make it a year in an American company, but I made it. So no, it's good. It's been a great run at Marin, following up my time at eBay and Google. I think coming to Marin, giving us, looking to do some of the things that I started to put in place at eBay and Google, coming to Marin, being an independent software player in the ad tech industry, has allowed us to move a lot faster and bringing sort of my vision of multi-channel marketing to the market, both in the United States and Europe.
You brought a bit up front what I wanted to ask, how is Marin Software settled down in the surrounding? I don't know. You won't call it battle between Google and eBay, so they are quite different. But how are they settled in this area?
So the difference is, if you look at the online advertising world, right? You have a situation where ad tech is new. Right, ad tech is new to investors. Ad tech is relatively new to marketers, and you have different sort of implementations of ad tech. Right, and on one hand, you have the ERP companies like Oracle and SAP who are throwing together stacks that we call marketing automation, sort of speaking to your existing customers. And then you have companies like Marin and Google as well through their DoubleClick platform, who are putting together platforms that address all the channels of online advertising, which focus sort of on external acquisition and retention of users. And I think the interesting thing about a company like Marin versus Google is that we tend to approach things as a third party, right? We're not tied to a publisher. So DoubleClick is tied to Google, right? Google makes its money primarily when you buy advertising on Google, whereas we're a pure platform and we help marketers work across all channels, whether that's Google, whether that's Facebook, whether that's Yahoo Japan, whether that's Yandex here in Europe, and so on and so on and so on. And so we like to position ourselves as we think about that competition among the ad tech platforms as an open stack, right? We work with all technologies as well as being an independent third-party stack.
Okay, that's great. You're quite an expert for all of the topics in the online marketing or tech business. Mm-hmm. So, but still, it's all about Google. The rise of Google. So some days ago, they passed Apple for the most valued brand worldwide. Yep. So how do you see the development of Google and maybe their influence on the way of advertising?
Sure. I mean, you can't discount the importance of what Google did to the world of online advertising. I mean, I never used to be a marketer. I actually used to be a developer, and I got my start in online marketing at eBay because of Google. Right? eBay decided that they needed somebody technical to come in and help build the products that would allow eBay to interface with all of Google. And what was happening at the time is that Google changed the world of advertising, right? It went from this thing that was mostly about creative and storytelling to something that was, combined technology, data, platforms, and so forth. And when Google developed the AdWords API, they actually created this whole concept of a marketing platform on top of media. And that was a huge step in the evolution of marketing. And so it started with search, but you've seen those same processes and technologies play out in display with the rise of programmatic display, and play out in social with the rise of Facebook. And so Google started the concepts, right? But I think, and Google continues to be a leader in innovation in terms of, different types of media formats and so forth. But at the same time, it's a multi-channel world, right? And so you have companies like Facebook, you have Amazon, you have even eBay, right? I built an advertising business at eBay, sort of starting to define themselves as publishers in the advertising world. And as a marketer, right, you need to apply those techniques everywhere you're buying advertising, right? If you're buying it on Yelp, or if you're buying it on Facebook, if you're buying it on Zing, or if you're buying it on, you name the publisher, all publishers are kind of starting to turn into platforms to have APIs. All marketers want to deal in data and technology when it comes to reaching the user. And so all this started with Google, but it's now expanded into other formats and other publishers.
Is it possible to name or to particularly name some trending topics, trending technologies? What are the most hot topics you should focus on in 2014?
So, you know, the big one, I think there's two that pop into the top of my mind. The first one is what I call moving from keywords to audiences. Yeah. One of the most interesting things that Google did in the last year and a half is they enabled the capability of doing audience buying in search. So for years, search has been about keywords, right? And programmatic display has been about buying audiences or people or the user. And what Google has done is it's now enabled the capability to buy, to layer, like, I know what keyword the person is searching on, and now I know who that person is. And so that is a powerful, powerful trend, because what that now allows you to do is search now becomes strategic, right? You know, you listen to a lot of the talks in here, and it's all about, you know, oh, I can make this little tweak to get this little CTR, but you know, the CMO doesn't really care about that, right? The CMO cares about who's my target customer and how am I reaching them, and what am I messaging to them. And now Google has finally given you the ability to do this in search. Now that you have the ability to do this in search, you can now tie all your channels together with an audience framework, right? Who are my most valuable customers? How am I reaching them? How am I messaging to them? How am I performing against them day in, day out? And that's like a powerful step change in the world of online advertising. I think the other big trend that we keep our eye on is Google's done a really, really interesting job with something called product listing ads. And we've seen retailers heavily adopt those in the United States and in Europe. And they're growing spectacularly. And I think they're going to continue to explode in a number of different ways. First, you're going to see product listing ads for things other than just retail products. You'll see them for travel. You'll see them for financial services products and so forth. And secondly, you'll see other channels adopt that kind of format. So Facebook will probably come out with some sort of product ad. Pinterest, which is an up-and-coming site in the U.S., will use that format as a basis for their advertising. And then, of course, you have companies like Amazon and eBay, which are tailor-made for a form of product listing ads.
Today we are at the PPC Masters.
Yep.
It's more about performance-driven marketing. So I do believe that the shift of branding and premium budgets for the online sector is more important by now. So how do you rate this?
So, you know, I think, you know, I got my start in performance-based advertising. I got my start in search. At eBay, online marketing was very much controlled by finance, and you know, we're always looking at our performance day in and day out. You know, but at the same time, I think all marketing is going to be performance marketing, right? And I think the only difference between what we call performance marketing today and what we call brand marketing is we believe, and I say believe, is that, you know, we believe we can measure certain types of marketing better than we can other types. And I think as, you know, people become more connected in different ways and advertisers become more sophisticated, almost all advertising will be able to be measurable and will be able to be, you know, ascribed to some sort of performance or programmatic method. I mean, I think in the future, probably 70 to 80% of all advertising will be programmatic in nature. You know, there'll still be some holdout things like sponsorships and stuff like that. But the trend, not only just in online, but also in offline and video and stuff like that, is to this more and more programmatic or performance-oriented nature.
You named it. Should be a trend, and that's quite a big number. You name here, like 70 to 80%. So
I didn't say when though.
So till how? till when?
I don't know. I would say, you know, 5 to 7 years. I still think we have a ways to go. I think if you look at, you know, there were stories yesterday about Google putting ads in your thermostat, right? Because they bought the company that helps you adjust the temperature in your home. But you know, in the United States, right, more and more of the, you know, TV-based advertising is you're knowing, once again, more and more about the audience. Who's in that home? Are they watching that ad? Who am I serving this to? And this all sets itself up to be a programmatic world. And I think, you know, the days of, you know, buying advertising in an upfront, right, committing to deals, you know, for ads that are going to happen in 6 months just based on the content of a TV show or something like that. You know, those days will, you know, I know people have been saying this for a long time, but I do believe those days will, you know, be over soon, right? And because you're going to, as an advertiser, you want to target people based on who they are. Yeah, the context of what they're doing, what they're watching is important, but the more and more we know about who they are, right, and what they want, the more targeted our advertising can be. And I think it's better for the user. Like I watch a lot of American football. Yeah. Right, but I'm a golfer. Right, I like to play golf, and when I watch American football, I only see ads for pickup trucks and Bud Light, and I don't drink Bud Light, and I don't drive a pickup truck. So, show me ads for golf, right? Because I'm a golfer.
At this event, you're speaking to the topic how search engine advertising developed in over the last years. If you name like technology or more data, and that the focus is not more on keywords for an audiences. Yeah. So you already said something to this, but maybe you can give a quick briefing what your speech will be.
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to talk about 3 topics today, right? And I think they're bigger picture topics than a lot of times what you get at conferences like these. One is, how do we understand like the audience, right? Who the audience is and how do we target them? Secondly, how do we understand the value of that audience? I mean, a lot of people optimize to a transaction or a click-through or an impression, but at the end of the day, it's all about understanding who our consumers are. Yeah. How do we reach them? How valuable they are to us so that we can get the right consumer into the company or get them to engage with the right consumer, let's say. And then finally, how do you do that cross-channel? Right? You've talked a lot about Google, but it's not a Google-centric world. It's, there are other channels out there. You have to, as a marketer, you have to think of, how am I doing on Facebook? How am I doing on display? How am I doing on affiliate? How am I doing on search? And you have to look at that holistically, right? You have to be able you can't just concentrate on one channel because users don't use one channel. Right, users, the journey to conversion, right, as we call it, involves many different sites. And unless you have visibility into how your advertising is working together across those channels, we think you're missing a lot, right? And so so for us, it's about a single platform across all channels in order to, basically help marketers understand the value of their marketing spend.
Thank you, Matt. Great to have you for an interview. It was quite a pleasure. So I wish you a good time in Hamburg.
Thank you. It was awesome to bring the California weather to Hamburg. So
thank you for that.
Awesome.